Greetings, one and all. Welcome back to another review, and we trek along in our Star Wars saga as we cover Chapter 2 of the prequel series with the Attack of Clones. Right here. Like the Phantom Menace, this will be a pros and cons approach to the review. I'm going to cover things that I liked and things that I didn't like. And as a forewarning, I'm going to be jumping around all over the place. So try to bear with me, and I'll try to be as coherent as I can. Let's waste no time. Let's start with the pros. Pro number one. This movie is, of course, what starts the Clone Wars, storyline, where we see the creation of the clones, and we find out that Jango Fett, the father of Boba Fett, was the pretty much the template of the clone army, as his DNA is what is used to make the clones. And we also find out that the clones is an army that is being created for the Republic. So that plays a huge part in what is to come, what Episode 3, and how all that goes down. Episode 2 is where those scenes were planted, and the Clone Wars and the Clone Troopers plays pretty much a major step into the Republic eventually turning into the Galactic Empire. So the groundwork being laid in this movie was really well done, and it works. And it's the A story and it's the one of the main storylines in my view that actually works. So that's a huge plus. Another pro for me is Aaron McGregor this time around as Obi-Wan Kenobi is actually really, really good, as opposed to his performance in Episode 1 when he was above average. In this one, he actually gets a chance to sell his Obi-Wan, and he's fantastic. He has a handful of good fight scenes. There's the beginning chase where he and Anakin are chasing this assassin throughout Coruscant, and it's a pretty fun chase. And Obi-Wan and Anakin have some good bantering back and forth, and you see the relationship between the two develop into a really good father-son relationship, which I thought was pretty cool. You also have the fight that Obi-Wan has with Jango Fett on Kamino, which is also pretty entertaining, which also leads into a space chase between the two, which I thought was pretty cool too, and also has like these little subtle nods to The Empire Strikes Back, where Obi-Wan is hiding out in like a minefield or something or other. It was like a direct, love nod to Empire Strikes Back, where the Millennium Falcon hides in planet from the Galactic Empire, which is pretty cool. And you also have the fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin against Dooku, which I thought was pretty entertaining as well. And that also segues into my next positive, which is Christopher Lee as Count Dooku is awesome. And it's Christopher Lee, so anything he's in, whether it's for 10 seconds or 10 minutes, he's gonna make it the best thing ever, because Christopher Lee is just one of those actors that is just always fun to watch. So big ups for having Lee in this film. Another pro I want to actually also say is, now I know Hayden Christensen gets a lot of hate, and a lot of that hate is well deserved, but I think he gets a little bit too much hate, because yes, when he opens his mouth, he sounds wooden as all hell, but he can convey a lot of emotion with just his eyes and his facial expressions. I think his facial expressions are really underrated, because he really does. Because there are a lot of scenes where, if you take out the dialogue, or if you give him better dialogue, just his facial expressions alone are just like, wow. Perfect example of that is the scene where he finds his mother being held captive by the Tuskens, the Sand People, and she pretty much dies in his arms. And you can see, with the help of the amazing score by John Williams, who has done every single Star Wars movie, mainline Star Wars movie, of course, came back for the prequels, and his music is iconic, and this movie is also amazing as it is with everything he does that's related to Star Wars. But anyway, with the music and the way his eyes and his face is being conveyed, and emotions being conveyed, you can sense the sadness, the rage, the anger, the the revenge, and his will for just and his desire just to get blood, just to have blood, just to get the blood of the same people because of what they did to his mother, and it's done, and he does a fairly good job with it. I have to say, watching it again, he definitely deserves maybe a little bit more credit than he normally, and maybe a little more credit, just for like those little nuances, because I think I think he's underrated in that aspect. So that's a big pro for me. Another pro is let me think. Okay. Another pro for me is, of course, the inclusion of Jango Fett, and of course his origin, and of course his whole deal being the bounty hunter, that of course is the template, whose DNA is template for the clone troopers, which which is also pretty cool. And of course, he has his own couple of cool scenes as well, not just Obi-Wan, but just with other people like a Mace Windu. And of course, we also see Boba Fett, which is a big plus for me. Because, fucking Boba Fett. Come on. And of course, another pro is, like I said, the action sequences in this movie are pretty much fun to watch. There's the stuff that I mentioned before, but there's also the stuff on Geonosia, where you get where you pretty much have all the Jedi's on Geonosa just like trying to save Obi-Wan and Anakin and Padme, and you get this really cool light. Yeah, it's a light show, but it's an entertaining light show, and it's fun to watch. Seeing all these Jedi's, in there just having just kicking ass and taking names, and you can see Mace Windu have a little fun. Of course, while that's happening, you also got the clone troopers who are helping them, fight off, the Count Dooku and his men, and of course Yoda is the one that actually brings the clone troopers to Geonosia to as reinforcement for the Galactic for the Republic, which is also pretty cool. And speaking of Yoda, we get to see Yoda in action as he and Count Dooku have a short but memorable and fun lightsaber battle. It was so cool seeing Yoda kick some ass, and he did it against Christopher Lee, and to me, it's one of the better. It's one of the best scenes of the movie. It's so fun to watch. And now we get to the negatives, and these negatives are, to me, are what bring the movie down, because, well, in my view, the A story, which is the clones and how that will eventually play into the lore of Star Wars. We also have the love story between Anakin and Padme, which to me is really forced. No pun intended. Um, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the dialogue or if it's the acting, or to me, the chemistry between Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman is just non-existent, because I don't buy them as being these lovers. And at the end, where they eventually get married and choose to have a relationship in secret, like, I don't know. I don't see that sense of happiness slash fear that's going to befall of them, because I don't know what it is about them. I don't know if it's the dialogue just doesn't sound natural to me, or the chemistry between the two is just off. Um, to me, the love story, the B story, which is the love story, is the weakest part of the movie, and that is and that is not a good thing, because I have to care about these characters, especially when we get to episode 3, and pretty much from like episode 1 to now to episode 2, that love story is just not working for me, and it's really, really, like I said, that's not a good thing, and that's a major, major, major. I don't want to say fail, but major, criticism I have. And like another criticism I have is, once again, this movie is heavily reliant on the CGI. And well, I have no problem with CGI. I like CGI, but I especially like CGI when it gets mixed in with the practical effects because it just enhances everything. But this movie is too much CGI eye candy, and after a while, that gets a little too. After a while, it gets too hard to handle because like it's just like just and there's not enough realism. It's just all like computer screen and like video game graphics, and I don't know, it just doesn't work for me. Like in the Star Wars movie, it doesn't work for me because Star Wars is supposed to be like bringing fantasy to life and like having puppets and costumes and things of that nature, which they are some, and they're done fairly well. But there's also a lot of it that's CG, and again, the CG can be very jarring because it's just too much of it. And once you see too much of it, you pretty much are like, yeah, I'm just watching a video game on the big screen. And again, that's a major problem for something like this. But but yeah, those are my pros and those are my cons. Um, I don't know. I have a couple more. I don't know. Like the cons I have are very very prevalent, and they do take a lot off the grade for this film. But again, the pros are also going to outweigh the cons because the pros do help enhance my enjoyment of this movie, and I do like this movie much better than The Phantom Menace. Uh, as an overall grade, I'm giving The Attack of the Clones a 6.5 out of 10. 10 times better. 10 times better than The Phantom Menace. Um, the A story, which is the formation of, which is the pretty much the start of the Clone War and the formation of the clone troopers, is was well done. It was naturally integrated into the story, and it sets up the events to come later on in the franchise with Episode 3 and on, and that's all, and that's fine. But the love story between Anakin and Padme really bring down the score because it's forced. Like I said, it's forced, and it's just not clicking with me, and it's just not clicking with me at all. It's just not a natural romance, and for something like this, it's not good. But anyway, 6.5 out of 10. Those are my thoughts on Attack of the Clones. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time.